Now, Jim Rosenthal presents highlights of today's French Grand Prix.
Formula One's back in Europe for the next 4 months, starting at Manicourt in the Loire Valley, home of the French Grand Prix. Hello there, Jim Rosenthal here, welcoming you to the highlights of this afternoon's race. Coming up, there's the best action, the driver's views and Tony Jardine's verdict. First, a reminder of qualifying with James Allen.
It was the first wet qualifying session of the year, and for once, the fast times came at the start of the hour rather than at the end. As the top teams made the tactical error of waiting for the track to dry out, it was Stewart's Rubens Barrichello, Sauber's Jean Alesi and Olivier Panis in the Prost who set the fastest times in the first 10 minutes. As the rain fell more heavily, the rest of the Formula One field faced a tough question: go out or stay in? No one else got it right. The major losers, Mika Hakkinen, who finished up 14th, Eddie Irvine down in 17th position and Damon Hill in 18th. The gods are not smiling on Damon at the moment. First, his race car caught fire in the pits, then he spun the spare car, before that too burst into flames and finally called it a day. Great or small, the rain once again proved the ultimate equaliser. With the situation becoming desperate in the closing stages, David Coulthard did well to grab 4th place ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Michael Schumacher. For once, the conditions were just too much, even for the Rainmaster. To the delight of the Stewart team, no one could top Rubens Barrichello's early flyer. It may be a highly unusual looking grid, but with some lively racing guaranteed, it's vive la différence. So Barrichello on pole position, his second and Stewart's first. Alongside him, Frenchman Jean Alesi, and on row 2, Olivier Panis, also giving the home crowd something to cheer about. But they'll be hard-pressed to stay ahead of the top runners: David Coulthard, Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Michael Schumacher. Row 4 sees Fisichella's Benetton ahead of Jarno Trulli, Johnny Herbert in the second Stewart and Ricardo Zonta posting his best ever grid position. Diniz is 11th ahead of Villeneuve 12th and Wirtz 13th, with 14th place Mika Hakkinen having his worst grid slot for 37 races. Then it's the two Williams of Zanardi and Ralf Schumacher, followed by Eddie Irvine. Damon Hill, officially outside the qualifying threshold, is allowed into the race by a steward's waiver. Likewise, the two Arrows and the two Minardis. It's the French Grand Prix with your commentators Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
Fingers crossed then for the weather. We're with Alesi. Look to the right, and it's Rubens Barrichello. As ever, look for those 5 red lights coming on one at a time, going off together to lead to a pre-programmed pause. And then the race starts. The green flag waving in the background shows that everybody's in position. And in Manicourt in France. Yes! Good start by Barrichello. Good start by Barrichello. David Coulthard goes up into 3rd place, so already he has made a position. It's Barrichello leading Alesi, leading David Coulthard, and Olivier Panis has dropped back to 4th position. Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the yellow Jordan is 5th. Barrichello leads.
I think Herbert had a very poor start. Johnny Herbert falling back through the field. What did you say? Barrichello making the perfect getaway under pressure. And that's Frentzen coming up into 4th place. So Panis really losing out on that first lap, with Schumacher already round the outside of him.
Schumacher is up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th position from 6th on the grid. And Eddie Irvine carving his way through the field. He's up behind Damon. There is Damon Hill. He's going well too, and Frentzen.
Frentzen with Michael Schumacher trying to get up the inside of him into 180, and Häkkinen also already up to, I believe, 10th place.
Mika Häkkinen flying through the field, coming up towards Imola, the right and left, and that leads into the Chateau d'Eau. The race leader, Rubens Barrichello, 1 lap almost completed, 71 to go, and he's got a gap between himself and, as I thought, Jean Alesi, I think, is starting to hold things up already. Across the line goes Barrichello. David Coulthard is challenging Jean Alesi, and the gap between Barrichello and Alesi is 1.1 seconds, almost 1.2. Riding with Alesi now, round the right-hander at Estoril. Building up to 190 miles an hour as you see Rubens Barrichello braking hard for Adelaide, the right-hander. And Coulthard is going through. David Coulthard takes Jean Alesi.
Yeah, Alesi may come back on the inside, but Coulthard closed the door. That's an important move for Coulthard early in the race, because his car is clearly faster than the Sauber of Alesi, and Coulthard, fastest man already in the first part of this second lap. But just a quick run through. Hill is still down in 17th place, but Häkkinen already up to 9th place.
Mika Häkkinen sailing through the field from 14th on the grid to 9th in the race. Michael Schumacher from 6th to 5th, and Eddie Irvine still down in 18th position behind Damon Hill. In fact, he's lost a place. Damon Hill's got past him, so Barrichello leads. Coulthard closing up on him. Alesi is 3rd, Frentzen is 4th, Schumacher is 5th. Then the 2 Prosts of Olivier Panis and Jarno Trulli. And you have seen Mika Häkkinen go through your pictures as the race leader, Rubens Barrichello, completes his 2nd lap. Now the gap has come down between him and the 2nd place man, and it's now David Coulthard to 0.6 of a second.
Yes, despite overtaking Alesi on that lap, albeit relatively straightforwardly at Adelaide hairpin, Coulthard was a full 1 second faster than Barrichello, the current leader. So Coulthard's car working very, very well. The track is green. It's been washed very heavily with rain, and really the cars will be a new experience for everybody until they can get some rubber back down on the track.
This is David Coulthard's golden opportunity, starting well ahead of his 3 main rivals for the championship. The 2 Ferraris of Schumacher and Irvine, and of course his teammate Mika Häkkinen. And Mika Häkkinen is now 8th. He's got ahead of Fisichella. He started in 14th position. He came through at the end of the lap in 9th position. Now he is 8th. It's Jarno Trulli next for Mika Häkkinen to challenge, and then he's going to get up amongst the top men on this very, very difficult part to pass circuit. Lap 3 out of 72. Barrichello, Coulthard, they're together. Alesi is dropping back. 2.2 seconds now, the gap. And that's making things difficult for Schumacher. He wants to get ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who's in 4th place. So here they come. 1-2, Barrichello and Coulthard. And you can see that Frentzen is bottled up behind Alesi, who's got clear air between himself and the yellow Jordan.
Well, Coulthard, I think, may have a small straight line speed advantage on Barrichello, but he's never going to get close enough behind him in that long right-hander of Estoril. I saw a comment from Nicky Lauda that you should have long, fast corners onto the straights for overtaking. I completely disagree with him. You need a slow corner on, otherwise you lose too much time in the dirty air of the car in front, and that's the problem Coulthard has now got. Barrichello's car is just about good enough to make it very hard work for him to pass.
And now Häkkinen is 7th. He's got past Trulli. He'll get past Olivier Panis. I'm quite sure about that. Panis, the Frenchman in the Prost, started 3rd. He's down to 6th now. Michael Schumacher has passed him. So is Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Alesi is still 3rd, and here are the leaders, and we are on lap 4 out of 72. Rubens Barrichello resisting the pressure from David Coulthard. I say again, if you've got the racing line at this Magny-Cours circuit, it's mighty difficult to pass. And there's not all that much of a power differential between the Ford V10 and the Mercedes V10, if any differential at all. They're both revving at about 16,000 RPM, and Alesi still holds that 3rd position. Now we're with him now. You can see Coulthard and Barrichello disappearing into the distance, and look at that rain cloud. Look at that rain cloud on the left. If that moves much further right and deposits its contents on Magny-Cours, as sure as eggs are eggs, we'll have the safety car out.
Johnny Herbert has obviously got a problem. He's falling, he's actually in last place now, so we're expecting maybe Herbert coming in the pits. Now
There's
that's Häkkinen making a move on...
Panis. Mika Häkkinen past Olivier Panis up to top 6th position, and into the pits comes the unfortunate Johnny Herbert. That is no routine stop on lap 5 out of 72 as we watch Mika Häkkinen now, and in his sights he has now got Michael Schumacher. Now we're really up amongst the top men, the top 6 at the present moment on lap 5, with Frentzen now putting up a really fast lap as he closes on Jean Alesi and challenges. The top 10 are Barrichello, Coulthard, Alesi and Frentzen. Schumacher is 5th. Panis has dropped down to 7th behind Häkkinen. Trulli is 8th. Fisichella and Wurz are 9th and 10th. And there is Michael Schumacher with Häkkinen behind him. Well, I said there was going to be action in this race, and there is plenty of it already. Here is the Finn, who incidentally had a car problem in the warm-up. He had to stop, run in and get into the spare car. No such problem in this race. There is Michael Schumacher in the Scarlet Ferrari in 5th position, but he's not making any impression on Heinz-Harald Frentzen. And Coulthard challenging for the lead.
It's a bit late, yes, David, but he's made a tremendous move. Well, Barrichello was very kind to him there, I have to say. But Barrichello getting a good run out. Coulthard should have the power to drag him down to the Nürburgring chicane. And well, David, that was a great move, but Rubens was kind to you, but you had to make it sooner rather than later.
Here's a replay as they come down to the hairpin at Adelaide. I was expecting Rubens Barrichello to dive through on the inside, but David Coulthard resisted him.
We've got Häkkinen with a great chance now. Now he has got the inside line. Michael will not hold that off. Will he duck back underneath? Häkkinen running a bit wide. I still think Häkkinen should out-drag him to Imola, but it's going to be touch and go. He hasn't got the advantage Coulthard had against Barrichello. Michael will have to yield, and he does. Look at the crowd. They're all getting their coats on out here, Murray, in the Grand Prix.
Yeah,
everybody suddenly stood up, getting their coats on.
They're going to be coming in before very much longer, I'm sure, and that will be to put on weight. When the tires is on, David Coulthard in the lead. Rubens Barrichello takes the lead, and David Coulthard looks as though he's out of the race. He's stalled his engine, and David Coulthard retires from the lead of the French Grand Prix on lap 10. What awful luck for the Scotsman. Now it's Barrichello. Here's a replay. Let's see what happens.
It's broken down. It's not a place you'd go off. Obviously his car's broken down, and he just decided to get off the racetrack as he saw second place man Barrichello coming along. What has Coulthard got to do?
Watch Mika Häkkinen. He's come up from 14th. He's now 4th. 10 places, and he's trying to do to Frentzen what he did to Michael Schumacher. Very, very late on the brakes in the McLaren.
Well, the disappointment of the race has got to be the pace of the Ferrari, really. And Michael Schumacher falling away from that battle quite quickly there. Still in 5th place as Alesi locks the inside the left front wheel going into 180. Not unusual going into there, it has to be said. And Häkkinen very much stalking Frentzen for that 3rd place. Didn't take Häkkinen long to get through the pack, did it?
It did not. And Eddie Irvine, on the other hand, is taking a long time to get through the pack, as you see Coulthard's McLaren being removed. And Rubens Barrichello now has an ever-increasing lead. We're with Alesi now of 4 seconds.
I suspect this is just the lock-up, the replay of when we saw Alesi locking the left front. You could see him moving the steering wheel around. He'll just ease the brake pedal back a little bit, trying to reattach the wheel to the tarmac, and he did that rather nicely. Here we go, Murray. Now it's a much different situation for Häkkinen. He managed to stay close enough. He should be able to come up the inside. Will Frentzen close the door? Not impressed.
Clean as a whistle. Clean. Oh, yes, he goes. Frentzen dives up alongside him, and he's going to... But Häkkinen has got the inside line for the left-hand bend. Now there's a right-hander that follows, and Häkkinen chops across quite safely the front of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, now up to 3rd position. You are watching an absolutely superb drive by the reigning world champion Mika Häkkinen. Here's a replay.
Yes, Frentzen should have come to the right. It was clear that for all to see that Häkkinen was going to have a go at him and got more straight. He already knows Häkkinen's faster in the straight, and Frentzen just left the door absolutely wide open. And now Häkkinen's bearing down on Alesi, who I think is doing rather well.
Here are the top 10 on lap 17 as you watch Schumacher pushing Fisichella for 8th position. Barrichello leading by 4.6 seconds, ahead of Jean Alesi, who is in second place, with Mika Häkkinen tucked up under his rear wing, ready to challenge. Fourth is Frentzen, fifth is Michael Schumacher, sixth is Olivier Panis, seventh is Jarno Trulli, eighth is Fisichella that you have been watching, and now in ninth position is Ralf Schumacher, followed by Eddie Irvine, who's come up from 17th and is now carving his way through the field. Now this is Alesi versus Häkkinen. And Schumacher gets through ahead of Fisichella, who has to yield, and Ralf Schumacher is now up into 8th position in the Williams. Nice bit of driving, and you can see Eddie Irvine in the scarlet Ferrari thundering up behind them, and he's gaining hand over fist on them, lapping 7/10 of a second faster than both of them. And down to the Adelaide hairpin, hard on the brakes, down into second gear, onto the apex. Fisichella has to run wide. Schumacher lets his Williams run wide, gets right in front, and Häkkinen now is still right up with Alesi, who still resists him.
And now Häkkinen ever closer. Look at the slipstream he picks up. Tremendous speed he picks up then. And again, Alesi braking as late as he did. And they've both gone wide. And will that let... no, Frentzen's not able to take advantage of that. So Häkkinen and Alesi braking absolutely on, and in fact slightly beyond the limit. And the pair of them, what a classic move that was. Good to see, both on the ragged edge. They both tippy-toe around the outside, live for another day. And Häkkinen now up to second place.
We've got to leave for a few moments. We'll make it as short as possible. Be back soon. 22, and it's starting to rain at Magny-Cours in France. The crowd are putting up their umbrellas, and Mika Häkkinen that you're looking at has closed the gap to Rubens Barrichello from 4.2 to 1.7 seconds.
Look at the rain. They'll be in this lap for sure for wet tyres, and in fact those drivers further down the pack, like Eddie Irvine, are going to be in the pits a lap before the others, and I think that's going to give Irvine quite a big advantage. He's a long way back anyway from the leading pack, but that's a great timing for Eddie Irvine.
But it looks as though they're not ready for him, Martin. They're in a bit of a flap in the Ferrari team. Yeah. Irvine just hit the rain as he came towards the end of the lap.
Fisichella spinning around, and that's how slippery it is. But I still think Irvine's better off waiting for tyres than, in fact, no, not waiting that long. They're waiting too long.
32 seconds.
They just weren't ready.
This is real panic.
That's completely blown that advantage then. Now they've got a tip-tap. While you were away, absolutely nothing significant happened other than it started to rain. James is in the pits. What's happening?
Total confusion. Ferrari not ready for Eddie Irvine. It was a unilateral decision by the Irishman to come in and put wets on, and the front left when it went on was actually a groove tyre. They had to take it off when they realised and put a wet tyre on. McLaren are ready for Mika Häkkinen, and meanwhile Ferrari are re-racking wet tyres this time, of course, boys. Ready for Michael Schumacher. Irvine gained nothing from that. Your race leader Rubens Barrichello comes in. They're all coming in now, Murray.
Yeah, James, look how much Alesi has caught Häkkinen on that in-lap. So Häkkinen very, very cautious, and Alesi right up behind him. So the top 4 or 5 guys all in the pits together, and Alesi may just get out before Häkkinen if they can get a good stop in that Sauber team. Steer odds, Murray.
Absolutely. Lap 23, and it's all going to depend on pit stops now. There is Heinz-Harald Frentzen. He's got the wet weather Bridgestones on. Michael Schumacher there in the pits, and the Ferrari mechanics don't look much happier with Schumacher than they did with... And Alesi gets out. Now, where is he?
There's Häkkinen. Look, so Häkkinen's out, at least ahead of Alesi.
Off goes Hill. That is Damon Hill off the track, and he's got a puncture. Left rear puncture.
I would think he's whacked the wall somewhere. I think you'll find he probably spun off and had a little chat with the wall. We might get a replay on that. That's Alesi back on track, having put the wet tyres on. Now you see the spray coming off as the tyres lift bucket loads of water up into the sky, and a car creeping along. That's Damon Hill creeping along on the right-hand side. I think he will have gone off in Estoril corner. Louise, what's happening?
I think what's happened there, as all the cars started coming in at the same time, absolute mayhem. Damon was coming down to exit the pit lane when one of the arrows came out of his pit garage at the same time. The two touched, and I think that's probably what's caused Damon's problem.
That's a replay of Damon Hill's problem. Louise said there was a touch in the pit lane. That's where he got that puncture from. But Barrichello being extremely cautious in the lead of this Grand Prix.
Just looking at what it's like now. You're looking at it from Alesi.
He spun. Alesi spun.
Off goes Jean Alesi. That's exactly where he went off in an earlier race years ago in the Ferrari.
He's kept the engine going, but will he get out of the gravel? No, he tried to pull away too quickly. He's thumping the steering wheel. And Lacey should have just, so easily let that clutch out. To be honest, I think he was beached anyway. So Lacey having a harmless spin in terms of damage, but look how angry he is, and I do feel for him, because there's not a lot you can do. It's the Chateau d'Eau, ironically, the water tower corner, and Lacey certainly found plenty of water there, didn't he?
Shaking his head with a mixture of rage and frustration as Heinz-Harald Frentzen moves up into third place, Schumacher into fifth. Here's a replay, and the Sauber just spins as though it was on greased glass.
Safety car is out, Murray.
Behind the safety car in quite dreadful weather. I've seen as bad, and I suppose probably I've seen worse. Donington 1993 was just as bad as this for the whole race. But Barrichello leads. Mika Häkkinen there, who started down in 14th position, has brilliantly fought his way up into the lead, and now back where he is now. And that's a Williams off and a Benetton off. So I reckon, now I'm just looking, I wonder if it's Fisichella and Zanardi, but I'm guessing
it's Villeneuve and Wirtz have stopped in there. That's Wirtz's Benetton. They've obviously aquaplaned off the road. They're on wets, look, so they've aquaplaned off the road under safety car conditions, because they've already made their pit stop. And we also know that Villeneuve stopped somewhere in the same area on the racetrack. I haven't picked him up with the cameras yet. We did see a second car in there, and so it's the BAR of Villeneuve. Now you can see it in the background.
Genet has gone off as well in the Minardi, so we're going to be down to 13 or 14 cars. You can see, looking across at the skyline, that the conditions are visibly better than they were. It's infinitely brighter. The rain has well stopped. A lot of the water, by no means all of it, is on the track. And the lights are out. Now we're at Imola. The right, the left, now up to Chateau d'Eau, the right-hander. And Oliver Gavin gets ready to peel off and into the pit lane. Are you ready then? Because now the French Grand Prix is again.
I can tell you, I will be so nervous. Now, Barrichello's takes over the role of the safety car. Barrichello now has control, and he's going to back them all up, and then he'll scamper out of that last corner as quick as he can. There'll be plenty of spray, and there he goes. So Barrichello leads in. Nobody can overtake to the start-finish line, and they're through, but plenty of spray, look, and a lot of pressure on Barrichello. I can tell you, they're all super nervous on the restart of this race. So easy to make a small mistake and be sitting in the gravel trap.
But Barrichello has the advantage. Clear track, no spray. Häkkinen is taking a faithful. So is Frentzen there in third position. Michael Schumacher is still fourth. I didn't see him behind the yellow jaw. There he is. Michael Schumacher still in fourth position ahead of Olivier Panis. And this is the half distance, lap 36 out of 72. As Schumacher challenges Frentzen and runs wide, loses momentum. Frentzen accelerates away. Michael Schumacher's car is set up for wet conditions with more downforce from the rear wing. This should help the German. Michael Schumacher challenging Frentzen. There they are, first, second, third, fourth. And Olivier Panis not so far behind in fifth position ahead of Jarno Trulli. Damon Hill is out of Trulli's way. Unfortunately, Hill in the garage, out of the race. And Rubens Barrichello leads at this half-distance point. That dark visor of his shining in what light there is here at Magny-Cours.
Once again, Barrichello being particularly cautious, but hasn't stood him in too bad a stead this afternoon. He does still continue to lead this race, but Barrichello, quite a wise head on him now, but being super cautious, and if Häkkinen gets a sniff, I think he'll pass him easily under braking.
Schumacher getting visibly worried. He wants to get past Frentzen. He can see that Barrichello and Häkkinen are going to pull away from him. Schumacher wants to win this race as much as anybody else does. He's dropped to second place in the World Championship. There is Michael Schumacher, and there is the gap. Barrichello, Häkkinen, and that Ford engine is really punching out the power.
Yes, Häkkinen got well out of shape actually in the middle of Estoril. The problem he's got now is he can't actually see where he's going either, and you can see he fell back from Barrichello and then takes a lot of time out of him under braking. Barrichello super cautious. Häkkinen would have seen that, and well, if Michael Schumacher could only see where he was going, I think he'd be having a go at Frentzen too.
Well, I think Rubens Barrichello is distinctly going to be in danger at Adelaide at the next corner, because Mika Häkkinen's prowess at that hairpin is awesome to watch, and I use the word advisedly. He's under the wing almost of Barrichello's Stewart car, and there is Frentzen behind him, Michael Schumacher.
Curves like that, you've just seen them leading into this short straight. In the dry, they're absolutely nothing. You don't even give them any thought. In the wet, it's the perfect opportunity to just spin off straight into a concrete wall. You start driving the track a few meters in front of you instead of looking down the road as you do in the dry. In the wet, you bring your focus and you're just waiting for the car to twitch. You're driving the piece of track you're on at that moment at all times.
Now, Häkkinen will be looking to get as close to Rubens Barrichello as he can before he gets to the Adelaide hairpin.
Yes, last time round, Häkkinen tried to get on the power too early and got out of shape and lost that time. Now he's got to be smoother, calmer in the middle of Estoril. Then I think he should stay just about close enough to have a dive up the inside of Barrichello as they go into Adelaide. There's a long way back. It's Schumi that's got the best chance, isn't it?
Yeah, Schumacher right up with Heinz-Harald Frentzen now, and Rubens Barrichello, of course, knows as well as does Mika Häkkinen what the Finn is going to try. And he tries right up behind Rubens Barrichello.
Oh, he's going to spin. He caught the white line on the inside.
Through goes Schumacher. That was bad for Mika Häkkinen and Panis. Mika Häkkinen has shot himself well and truly in both feet.
Häkkinen put the car on the inside of the curve, an absolute no-no. He was clearly watching Barrichello or something. Look, puts the car on that white line, spins up the inside rear wheel, and you're always going to go round. That was a very simple, straightforward error there from Mika Häkkinen.
And Michael Schumacher has got the bit well and truly between his teeth. He knows that Häkkinen is out of the running. And now, can he get past Heinz-Harald Frentzen as they come out to Adelaide? Look at the spray.
Schumacher can see nothing. The camera sees through that spray. Schumacher's looking through 50 metres of spray. The camera's looking through 3. But Schumi comes in, just easily, just presses the brake so gently and rolls it up the inside. Once again, Frentzen, much too easy a touch into Adelaide.
Now, Michael Schumacher sees Rubens Barrichello ahead of him. And the gap is about 1 second. Michael Schumacher from 6th on the grid now races in 2nd position, and Mika Häkkinen is down in 7th place behind Ralf Schumacher, Trulli, Panis and Replay.
Yes, Replay there. Michael, very smart, very calm. It would have been very easy for him to go up there and just block a front wheel. He's just rolled it in, and if Frentzen turned in, he knows he could still just about do something about it.
So, Michael Schumacher, I remind you, has won this race 4 times in the last 5 years. There's something about Magny-Cours that suits the German.
Yeah, now Michael got on the white line on the exit of Estoril there and lost a hatful of time. You just cannot touch the white lines. Everybody knows that. Sometimes you can't avoid it if you're understeer wide. And that's where Rubens has got to find some confidence. Wind the brake balance a couple of turns to the rear. I think he's already done some of that. And don't lock the fronts. It's easier to cope with a slight locking of the rear if you can. And Barrichello there has got to find some way of braking later. I don't think he's any slower anywhere else. He's just massively slow on the brakes.
Well, he's going to need to be very good when he gets up to Chateau d'Eau. It's unusual for someone to pass before the chicane, which finishes the lap, but I have seen it before. They're into Imola, they're coming up to Chateau d'Eau now. Look where Michael Schumacher is. He's got the momentum. It's lap 41 out of 72. I said this race was going to be a cracker when they restarted. My goodness, it certainly is. Frentzen is not giving up, and nor is Panis 4th, Trulli 5th, Ralf Schumacher 6th. Mika Häkkinen is still out of the points, and Schumacher is right up with the Stewart now. Now is the time for Michael Schumacher to get through as they come up to the Grand Curve. On the inside, is he going to go?
No, he won't get through there, but Häkkinen must think his world's come to an end. He was about to he took the lead of the race, or about to take the lead race, spins off, goes back into 7th place. Now he's got the Irvine's Ferrari all over the back of him. So Häkkinen's Afternoon turning around in quite a hurry, and still Barrichello maintains enough lead, and he now breaks up the inside, and there seemed to have been a lot more grip.
Look
Look at Schumacher.
Fantastic, unbelievable,
Rubens, you've got to break
unbelievable.
later, my friend. And now Schumacher blocks the apex again nicely, but Barrichello gets away. It's almost like Michael was out of gear. It's like Michael was in the wrong gear. So Schumacher came in so deep, I'm not sure he really intended to arrive quite that fast. Look at that.
I hate to remind the Jerry Myers that after the Spanish Grand Prix they were moaning and groaning and whining about dull Formula One. Then we had Montreal, and now we've got this. This is great motor racing.
Now brake on the inside, Rubens. There's a lot more grip. There he goes. Look, yes, he's taken an unusual line where the tarmac is less used, less polished. You get an awful lot more grip there. Rubens just seems to have found that, and suddenly Michael didn't take as much out of him.
Well, my hat comes off and my heart goes out to Rubens Barrichello. If he can resist pressure like he's getting now. And Eddie Irvine has got ahead of Mika Häkkinen, unseen by us.
Look, Michael's got his wheel up the inside and Rubens is having to yield, but there's more grip around the outside, the go-kart line, and Rubens still somehow leads this Grand Prix. What incredible maturity.
And Mika Häkkinen is in real trouble. He was right up at the front. He's now been passed by Eddie Irvine, who, as he did in Montreal, is really on a charge. He's in 7th position ahead of the McLaren. No McLaren in the points, one Ferrari in the points, and the other Ferrari 1 place behind Jarno Trulli, who is 6th. That's Barrichello leading. Schumacher is 2nd. They're completing lap 43. That's Heinz-Harald Frentzen behind them. So it is Stewart, Ferrari, Jordan, and in the background you see the other Ferrari of Eddie Irvine. There's only 5 seconds covering the first 6 places.
And Michael's got to not let his car run to the outside white line. He's got to stay on the black stuff, and he just does it. So he doesn't lose as much on Barrichello this time. Can Barrichello repeat his better braking up the inside into Adelaide? Or will Michael come at him? And here comes Michael. And this time Michael should make it stick. Yes, he does.
Oh, marvellous by both of them. But Michael Schumacher showed the way and leads in France on lap 44. And now Heinz-Harald Frentzen has seen what his countryman has done. He'll be having a go at Rubens Barrichello now. So Ferrari leads, Stewart 2nd, Jordan 3rd, Prost is 4th, Williams is 5th.
Here we go, Murray. Look, Michael coming again from a long way back, and he's just squeezing that brake pedal, not really even attempting to slow down in any big way. Rubens too tentative, and that gave Michael all the space he needed.
Well, 12 cars left. Of them, 11 are on the same lap. All 12 are on the same lap now. The retirements, in order of retirement, are Johnny Herbert out on the 3rd lap, then Deniz, Coulthard went out when he was in the lead, Alesi went out when he was 2nd, spun out in the wet, Genet and Wurz went out because they had problems in the wet. Jacques Villeneuve has retired, so has Zanardi. Another bad race for the Italian. Damon Hill into the garage and out of the race. Is he out of Formula One? Louise Goodman's got some news.
I'm standing here with Damon Hill. Damon, bad into a bad weekend for you.
Pretty typical this season, unfortunately. But that's the way it can go. And no, I don't really have anything to complain about. I had just a lot of bad luck, but also didn't perform as well as I'd liked either. So bit of a shame, because actually in the race I think we could have maybe clawed our way through to do something, but because I made a good pit stop at the right time, but then it all went pear-shaped when an arrow's punctured my tyre.
And you're now saying that this could be your last race for Jordan, is that correct?
It may well be, yes. There's some deciding to be done about Silverstone.
He's now into his 54th lap, he being Schumacher. Look at the battle for 2nd behind him. Barrichello has got Frentzen right up behind him. Frentzen has got the Prost right behind.
You can see in the pit lane they're getting another steering wheel ready for what must be Michael Schumacher's pit stop. So maybe he didn't go off the road. Maybe he just had some kind of gear selection problem. Remember when he first passed? James, what can you tell us?
Well, it's absolutely right, Martin. I don't know what sort of crystal ball you've got up there, but it's obviously a very expensive one. They've got Ignazio Lunetta, his race engineer, has got a spare steering wheel ready. Now, we've seen this a number of times with Ferrari where Schumacher's had gear selection difficulties. I was listening to him as he accelerated out of the final corner past me in the pits, and he was short shifting on the lap where he lost all that time. I think it's possibly the problem he had in that hairpin as well. He was looking for a gear, it wasn't there for him. I can tell you one other thing is that when he stops, he's putting wets on.
Thank you, James. You may be wondering why on earth he's going to change a steering wheel if he's got an engine problem. The answer is that so many of the functions on the car these days are controlled from the steering wheel that if you change it, you get better connections. And there's the confirmation. The new wheel, it'll only take a second or so to slot into position. He won't lose any time on top of the fuel stop and the tyres. And now look at Frentzen with Mika Häkkinen right up behind him. They've just scrambled past Tora Takagi. Rubens Barrichello did so better, as a result of which there's a gap. And that's Irvine. That's Irvine off the course. He was in 8th position. And into the pits comes Michael Schumacher. Now,
let's watch him
Eddie
stop.
Irvine took 7 seconds.
He's got, I don't wonder if the engine stops if they change the wheel. No, it doesn't. They've got that one off to a fine art, haven't they? Does he? I don't think they have to restart the engine. Michael's got it on. He says, yeah, it's fine, let's go.
Oh,
no, the engine's not running.
Not go.
Oh, no.
Yes.
It took a while to get, some kind of gear. So Michael, were 13 seconds.
He's lost 6 seconds, Martin, on that stop compared with Eddie Irvine. So now the race leader is Rubens Barrichello.
And this is for second. This is for second, Murray. Look, Häkkinen with a chance up the inside of Frentzen. He's getting a bit wiser now as the race goes on. Keeps a middle line and very much keeps that second place.
And Olivier Panis darting about all over the circuit, trying to find some wet tarmac, because he's only made one stop. His tyres are overheating. He's looking paradoxically for some water to drive through to cool them down.
Yes, and well, we saw Schumacher definitely put wets on again, and that's got to have been the right decision. And here's a replay of Irvine about to take a trip across the grass. I suspect he locks his front left going into 180 and just just drifts wider and wider and wider. I've been across that bit more than a few times, and it just sucks you in. You just cannot get away from it. And you go around the outside, it fills all the radiator ducts up with stones, but it's not too much of a problem. They come out in the next 2 or 3 braking zones.
Race order now as you watch this battle. Barrichello leads Häkkinen, Frentzen 3rd, Trunny 4th, and he's in the pits. Michael Schumacher will go up to 4th position ahead of his brother, Ralf Schumacher.
Right, Häkkinen got a better drive through the middle of Estoril, and that's going to get him in front of Barrichello long before the braking area.
Oh, lovely.
So Häkkinen takes the lead. Michael Schumacher's speed, remember he had a 13-second pit stop, didn't really come out and set the world alight with his lap times as Häkkinen defends that lead. Barrichello's still getting a nice drive out, but no way he'll get back at Häkkinen from there. And can Michael Schumacher go fast enough to make up for that slow pit stop and end up back in the lead of the race when it's all shuffled through and everybody has stopped?
Well, Heinz-Harald Frentzen was actually the fastest man on that previous lap, as Häkkinen charged up alongside Barrichello.
Yes, I think these two slowed each other up a little bit as they had to wait, and it would be very easy to lock a wheel here and just run into the other car. So Häkkinen quite cautious from this point on. He's got the corner, and then he actually is very, very cautious. He's probably a bit nervous of that white line again where he spun. He goes round the outside of it, and Barrichello says, well, I'll have a go, but he hasn't got enough speed or advantage to get ahead down into Nürburgring chicane. And this is Michael Schumacher, currently running 5th, but he has already pitted.
Yes, and he's only 5.7 seconds behind Mika Häkkinen.
Oh, look, that's a problem for Frentzen. He can't get the thing to change down. Look, he's stuck in a higher gear, and now he's got it on the cam and he's away. But has he got any gears? Yes, it's shifting up okay, but he's gone up the inside, look, and ended up with a box full of neutrals.
Look at De La Rosa's wing.
I think he kept dipping the clutch, and it was in too long a gear. So no downshift there for the Jordan, but it appears to be okay now.
And in comes Häkkinen. This is going to change the race. This is going to change the race. So now it all depends on Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the German, as Mika Häkkinen streaks out of the pits. Is he going to get out? Look, there's Frentzen. It's nip and tuck. And Frentzen out in the lead. Mika Häkkinen behind him. This is a most incredible development, and Heinz Harald Frentzen could win this race as Rubens Barrichello exits down to third position. Yes, Barrichello comes through, and he's ahead of the Ferrari there, so look how close it is. Heinz Harald Frentzen comes out of the right-hander very shortly at Chateau d'Eau. He will then only have the drop down to the chicane, turn 12, turns 13 and 14, to win the Grand Prix here at France in absolutely scintillating form after having fought every inch of the way. And he's out of Chateau d'Eau now. This is an historic moment. Heinz Harald Frentzen clears the chicane, lines up the last corner, and Jordan and Heinz Harald Frentzen win in France. Magnificent. Wow, what a French Grand Prix.
Well, it's amazing. Remember, McLaren had it in the bag early on, then it had a big change around and Ferrari looked like the team, then McLaren again, and Jordan ended up winning the race. Barrichello was the only other main contender all the way through. Somehow, Frentzen has come through and won the race. Louise is with Eddie Jordan.
Eddie, what a day. I can't believe it. Won Jordan's life and announced his retirement. The win, first of all.
Well, I think we seem to like the wet weather. I think that's quite obvious. And, I mean, after last week in Canada, Heinz Harald, really, what can I say? It was a good strategic plan. I don't know why, but the pace car just suited us, and we just thought we had enough fuel to get to the end. And strategically from the team, it was a brilliant move. But, I mean, what can you say about Heinz Harald Frentzen? He never made a mistake all weekend. Truly phenomenal drive.
But what about this news from Damon that this could be his last race? Surely you're not going to let him not appear at Silverstone.
You know, these decisions have to be made by the driver at the time, and I'm aware of what he said. It was reported to me. Damon is truly one of the best people I've ever met, and everybody must respect his wishes, and only he can make that decision. And whatever they are, I support him.
But now, Eddie, back to the celebrations. Well done.
So the result of the French Grand Prix, a win for Heinz Harald Frentzen, Mika Häkkinen world champion second, Rubens Barrichello third for Stewart, Ralf Schumacher for Williams, Michael Schumacher and Eddie Irvine making his point for Ferrari. But in the end, a famous win for Heinz Harald Frentzen, a triumph for the Jordan teamwork and strategy, really the pinnacle of a brilliant season for the German.
I noticed that the guys around me must have been less fuel because initially that pulled away quite quickly, but luckily then the pace car came in, and then we had time for the radio conversations to the pits, talking about the strategy, and I knew that I was then pretty heavy on fuel. It was pretty tight that I had to save a little bit of fuel in one stage to make it to the end, but we have good radio communications, and the communication worked out perfectly.
When it started raining, that was not one of my best moments, and particularly because I spun, and I lost obviously a lot of time, and that is the always the reason why I'm sitting here today in second position. But after all, it doesn't matter. It was great fun.
It was a great battle, yeah, and I enjoy. I hope to be more and more there because. As having a competitive car, I'm sure we can be there quite often.
6 points for Mika Häkkinen then, and that increases his lead over Michael Schumacher. Irvine still third, but Frentzen has closed right up on the Irishman. A pretty bad day all round for Ferrari. McLaren are now just 6 points behind them. Jordan's maximum puts them clearly third. Williams, thanks to the consistent Ralf Schumacher, well, they overtake Benetton. Absolutely magnificent race, Tony Jardine. So much going on.
It was a thrilling race, and there was so much activity. What was thrilling for me about that whole thing was the conditions were so dire. and you saw tremendous car control from the guys. Can you imagine trying to drive in no visibility whatsoever? They must have been looking for the little markers at the side of the track. It was unbelievable. 55 garden hoses on your face all at once.
I don't know what David Coulthard has done this season, but he's having absolutely miserable luck, isn't he?
Absolutely dreadful. From 4th place on the grid, he was the best British hope, and this is the second of his great charging manoeuvres to go into the lead, the second of his replays. And down from 190 miles per hour, what does he have to do to get reliability? Uprated engine from Mercedes for this particular race. Look at him there, in great forceful form, as he was in Canada. And then he retired very shortly afterwards. Now, you know, he's stuck in 6th in Australia, gearbox went in Monte Carlo, here we are out again. He needs a win to restore his confidence.
Terrifically pleased for Heinz-Harald Frentzen. His transformation virtually complete, but there was a bit of in-car footage and we thought, hello, he's had it, he's finished.
Yeah, Pedro de la Rosa is trying to get round him and lap him, and there you see on the inside, fabulous. And suddenly he's all revs and no cogs, he can't get in. Whether he'd missed the paddle, whether there was a little bit of water in the electronic system on there, it starts to clear again. And of course, the heart of Heinz-Harald Frentzen must have started beating again. But that was a dodgy moment for Jordan.
This was supposed to be a yawn of a Grand Prix, wasn't it? They all knew the circuit and they were going to dawdle around and give us no instance whatsoever. It was hard to find out who was actually in the lead at many given points, but there was one absolutely crucial pit stop, wasn't there?
Very crucial indeed, and they both came in at the same time. It was Mika Hakkinen and Rubens Barrichello. 7.7 seconds here for this Mika Hakkinen stop. And there was a little bit of a jitter here. It seemed to just hang on for a little bit. Had he got it in gear? Not sure. And away he gone. Should have been a little bit faster that. Rubens as well. Meanwhile, Heinz-Harald Frentzen just surfed straight past into the lead and goes on to cruise for his 2nd ever Grand Prix win and the 2nd ever win for Jordan Grand Prix. Absolutely fantastic.
But bittersweet for Jordan. Just to talk finally about Damon Hill, all the papers, the Monday papers, will be full of, is Damon Hill going to quit? Is he going to carry on? What would you think?
Well, the situation's exacerbated because you've got the coming man, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, the going man, potentially, Damon Hill. He must be so upset by that result and so disheartened by it. But if I was the sponsors, if I was the team, I would plead with Damon Hill to go to the British Grand Prix, then sort something out after Silverstone. If he gets a good result, perhaps he'll stay on for the rest of the season, which I believe he should do to help the team maintain its 3rd place in the Constructors.
Tony, thanks very much indeed. So here's your complete rundown of a captivating race. Frentzen first, super for Jordan. Hakkinen's best ever result in France. Barrichello 3rd, terrific drive. Ralf Schumacher 4th again, carrying Williams single-handed. Then Big Brother, followed by teammate Irvine. Trulli and Panis just out of the points for Prost. First finish for Zonta in the BAR. Badoa 10th, same as Canada. Takagi and De La Rosa, the last official finishers in the Arrows. Fisichella spun. Hill's engine went a few laps after Zanardi. Villeneuve, Wirtz and Genet all crashed out. Alesi spun just before the safety car appeared. Electrics finished the unlucky David Coulthard and Deniz. And Johnny Herbert was first to depart the French Grand Prix. Well, Canada was excellent. Manicourt, simply magnifique. But there's no place like home.
Schumacher leads.
Full ITV service, starting with Murray and Martin F1 special, 11:30 Friday night. An hour later, if you're watching in the London weekend region. Qualifying will be live on the Saturday. Our programme starting at 12:15 and the race live from midday on Sunday. Highlights at 11:45. Well, the Jordan team have only got to pop across the road to get to Silverstone. Heinz-Harald Frentzen goes there on top of the world. Let's hope we see Damon Hill in action as well. Good night to you all.